Welcome to Gallery Woodworking. I'm Aaron, and I'm going to show you today how to build a simple stool. I made this one for my kids last year, and being that I have two daughters, I need to make a second one. So I'm going to show you how to take some inexpensive pine and make something decent and sturdy. So I actually already began breaking this down. I'm going to spare you cutting every single piece, but I got a 4-foot piece of pine. It is 7 1/4 wide. I think it costs about $5. So with this, it's gonna be a little smaller, but the dimensions are basically a foot by 8 inches. And we have the aprons here as well. So let me show you guys what we do next. So to attach the legs, I'm not gonna use any fancy joinery. I'm actually just gonna use pocket holes. So I think we're just gonna go with 3 pocket holes, one forward, both edges. So it makes 2, and then another in the middle. So I still used an older jig. This one works really well. Actually, I've seen a lot of creators still using this. At some point I'm going to upgrade, but for now, this is working just great. So let's jump into this. So I just remembered something. I didn't show this on camera, but the top of it, I put a 30mm, I think 35mm Forstner bit. That way you can pick it up like this. That being said, this does have some sharp edges on it. So I'm gonna take my chamfer bit and then put a chamfer on the inside of it. That way it's a little bit easier on the fingers. So let's do that now. By the way, don't forget to take out the battery when you do this. Because we are working with a very fast spinning bit, I do want to make sure that this is fastened down securely. That's good. I'm also going to use some dust extraction with this. This should capture the dust pretty well. Make sure here. Now I'm going to turn on the dust extraction. Right. That turned out really nicely. Soften the edge real nice. And we got to the back side as well. So we've got the leg pieces drilled out. The pocket holes are there. I made chamfer for this. Something you don't want to do after the fact. And so we're now going to attach these into here. Now, this can be a little tricky sometimes. So one thing I'm going to do, so I've got this clamp right here. Sure, one that's a little smaller, but this will work. And this is just to offer some pressure. That way, even though they may want to wander a teeny bit, this will help prevent that. Again, pocket holes can be a little finicky, nice and tight. Again, I just want to make it so that it's harder for the screws to wander. So I'm using these 1 1/4 ones. First put them in there before I begin. Just makes things a little easier. Let me show you guys a close-up of this. All right, so I'm gonna put my clutch, fill up to 12, I'm gonna put it around 6, and then you guys start driving. Okay, always tighten them up later. Make sure that's flush, still looks flush. Okay, and then do the middle one. It's still looking quite flush. I'm going to take the clutch up just to give it a little more tightening. Okay. And then, right, and now to the next side. Our stool's come out pretty good. This works pretty good, I would say. So pretty flush, but any imperfections I'll sand out. Shouldn't take long. Now, as you can see here, we need to add the aprons. That's going to add more strength to it, rigidity. And I think visually it's will look a lot nicer. So I have this piece of wood. I was gonna rip the other one down, but I already have this, so might as well use it. And it's gonna go in there and fill it in nicely. All right, so I went ahead, cut up the aprons for it. I added a chamfer, as you saw in the last section. That way when they're grabbing it, it's not going to splinter, it's going to be more comfortable. And I'm going to put them in here. Now I've already put the pocket screws in. You can see I got the clamp. And the clamp, what's nice about it is this bar will butt up against here and kind of help even it out a bit. And make sure that's going on there. So I think we're looking pretty good. Good feel. Nature of pocket hole screws is they're going to want to make things move. So that's just kind of how things work. Now what's nice is we don't have a lot of room in here, as you can see. So I'm going to take this chuck off and we're going to just put it in directly. So let's try this here. I'm going to spin this around so you guys can see. All right. Let's try this now. All right. It's fun and awkward. All right, going in. All right, it's part one done. So the next part. And again, if it's not perfectly flush, we can do some sanding and that'll make it a lot nicer. Sometimes it's easy to get caught up on making everything so perfect that you don't produce anything at all. Now, I want to show you something else that I have. Here it goes. This is the right angle fixture. So this will allow us to get a different position on it. This is the Festool version. You can get a Milwaukee DeWalt version. I did a video on that recently. Tag it above. But this will allow me to get in there a little more comfortably. So let's take a look here. All right, yeah. That's nice. Oops. Just magnetic fit, so it comes out sometimes. All right, let's take a look and see how things are looking. Clamps. And I'm not going to use any glue. I think that the screws are sufficient. So I think this is looking actually pretty nice. Now, is it perfect? It's not. Is it functional? Absolutely. So let's finish this up. Now, to be honest, if I use a Festool domino, I think this would be a lot easier in some ways. But again, depends on the application. In this case, I think pocket holes works really great. So let's grab some more pocket hole screws. Instead of counting them, I'm just going to bring the whole box out. So, all right. And again, I just like to put them in each one at a time before I start screwing. That way, or before I start driving, rather. Take that off. So one thing I had to learn the difference is between screwing and driving, because they're not the same thing. Screwing is when you're actually making the holes. Driving is when you are, putting in your fastener. So I'm actually going to try the Jacob's chuck this time around. Just that way it's not sticking in there every single time. Make it a little easier for me. Okay, so we're going to do it now. Now the thing is, I'm in an awkward position, so let me just switch this around. Okay, let's drive them in. Okay, so I do not have enough clearance. It's good to have a long bit and a shorter bit.
Okay. So you have to find what works best for you. I think for me, what's going to be best is just going with the smaller little nub. That works perfectly. Just trying to walk on me a little bit there. Okay, let's see if I can't fix this. One thing you could do is just to take. Jeez. Okay, there we go. You're gonna put some backer piece up against here. That would probably work a little better. Let's see if we can't get it to go in. Okay, let's do this right here. Let's modify it. There we go. And even just using one hand, I get a lot of force behind it. All right. So now it is time to, well, let me show you guys. So I already went ahead and did this side. It's not perfect, and you know what? You can drive yourself crazy trying to get things perfect. So we're gonna use a jigsaw to cut this out. I do want to make sure that this is clamped down. I'm gonna try to get close to the line, although I'm not gonna make it the most important thing here. So I'm gonna get some safety eyewear on. It's one accident, so I need my eyes, and then it can get a little loud. So that went very smoothly. Thing is, we don't want to go past this. So what I'm going to do is, when we get super close, I'm either going to slow down or I may just make use of this saw. Ooh, I actually nailed that. I'm actually a little surprised. I can clean this up just a teeny bit. A little bit with the chisel. And yeah, wow. So what I'm going to do is just kind of light sanding. There we go. Again, we don't want splinters. Got 150 on hand, but I probably should be using 120, but it's working. All right, let's vacuum up and we'll see what we got. All right, let's see how she looks. It's looking really nice. Now I need to sand this. I did put some dowels in here. Just need to sand them flush. They're pretty good, but use a little love. This again is not 100% flush, but that's okay. I'll sand that out with my 80 grit. So let's take a look and grab the first one that I made. This is the first one. Again, very similar. Like these feet are pretty similar as well. I did 2 inches in from here, 2 inches, and found the middle point between the two. And then I went up 90 millimeters, so that's a little over 3 inches. I think about 3.5 inches up. I did not want to go where this line is. I wanted to be about 1 inch or 2 above that. Otherwise, it would have been too much. So this one's a little bit shorter. Now I am going to round over these edges, or at least give it some treatment here in a moment. But yeah, no, I'm liking the way this has turned out. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you guys if you have followed all the way through this video. Hope you guys have learned a few things. And again, I know this is quite beginner, but there are a few little tips here and there that I wish I'd known when I was starting. Putting that chamfer around things really does help. That was something I did not do with this, and I wish I had. Now I've softened the edges by sanding it, but I think this gives a much sleeker appearance, and in time they'll look very similar. So Again, thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next video.